Hello and welcome to NDTV's World Report. Let's begin with the US President Donald Trump, who strongly condemned the brutal killing of Chandramouli Bob Naga Malia, an Indian origin motel manager who was beheaded in Dallas. Now, this took place last week by a Cuban migrant. And now it is Donald Trump who's taken to his social media site Truth and said that he is promising to make America safe again and declared that his administration would not be soft on illegal immigrant criminals. My colleague Vishal joining us in order to get us more on this. Vishal, take us through, Donald Trump there talking about how illegal immigrants is now going to be something that he's going to be looking at. And, take us through what's really happened here in this particular regard. He's gone on to say that the man will be tried for first-degree murder.
Yes, that's what he exactly said, and it remains to be seen what exactly the US authorities will do now, because Donald Trump has clearly instructed them that the harshest penalty needs to be, laid upon this person, the aforementioned culprit who was allegedly an illegal immigrant from Cuba, and he had several, criminal records against his name, and even then he was allowed back into the US. That is what the Trump administration has been claiming, and Trump has gone on to attack former President Biden also, because he has been attacking Biden on many fronts. One of them has been immigration, and he is sort of blaming the Biden administration for this tragedy and saying that such illegal immigrants, the way they were handled, it's not proper, and he is promised harsh punishment. It has to be seen what kind of punishment this person will get, but many experts have speculated that the capital punishment could be tried in this case, because it is a very gruesome case, and it has gone on to shock the world, because the images tell the whole story, the whole sequence of events, the gruesome details. They are all on the internet, and they've all been shared across the way the man was chased after, and the way he was hacked, and the way he was killed in front of his family. It's a series of gruesome details, and the series of tragedies that unfolded on that day. So all of that will be analyzed by the authorities when the sentencing is done, when the case is properly analyzed.
Right, thank you so much, Vishal, for getting us the very latest. Moving on and staying with news of Donald Trump again, he has reiterated his stand that he is willing to impose sanctions on Russia, but called out Europe to act in a way. This is a way that also is in tune with what Washington wants, basically, asserting that Europe is buying oil from Russia. Trump told the media that Europe is buying oil from Russia. I don't want them to buy oil. The US president said that the sanctions, as far as Europe is imposing on Russia, are not enough, and that the European Union needs to be tough.
NATO has to get together, Europe has to get together and do. Look, they're my friends, but they're buying oil from Russia. So we can't be expected to be the only ones that are, full bore. But Europe is buying oil from Russia. I don't want them to buy oil. And the sanctions that they're putting on are not tough enough. And I'm willing to do sanctions, but they're going to have to toughen up their sanctions commensurate with what I'm doing.
But just to clarify, you wouldn't move ahead until NATO moves ahead.
Well, I'm ready to move ahead, but they have to do it. I think they will. But right now they're talking and they're not doing. Look, they're buying oil from Russia. We're not buying oil from Russia. They're buying a lot of oil from Russia. That's not the deal.
And Russia and Ukraine have, in fact, they've gone and carried out major attacks against each other over the past 24 hours, targeting military and strategic sites. This is amid the ongoing conflict. The Russian Ministry of Defense announced that its forces struck Iranian personnel as well as equipment on multiple fronts over the past day, advancing into defensive depths as well. Now, this is at a time when they're improving their, tactical position and securing more favorable ground. Russian forces have targeted Ukrainian military production facilities, long-range drone control centers, and temporary deployment sites of these are Ukrainian troops and foreign mercenaries. This is in over 140 locations, is what the Ministry of the Air Defenses of Russia had to say. In fact, they have also gone ahead and they've shot down at least 360 drones at the very least. US President Donald Trump has said that the unfathomable hatred between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Zelensky has blocked a peace deal from being made, which he has in fact thought would have been easy compared to how it really has transpired so far. The president, while speaking to reporters before boarding his Air Force One, he slammed NATO, saying that they are not doing their job to bring the war to an end. Trump went on to say about 8,000 soldiers have died between Russia and Ukraine this very week, now leading him to ask why the war was still trudging forward.
The hatred between Zelensky and Putin is unfathomable.
People will either say in talk, but they won't have it.
I don't know. I think I'm going to have to do all the talking. They hate each other.
The Chinese and the United States delegation concluded their first day of talks on economic and trade issues in the Spanish capital of Madrid on Sunday. Chinese Vice Premier is also a member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China Central Committee, and the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent led their respective teams. Both were welcomed by Spain's Foreign Minister at the Santa Cruz Palace, and this is from Sunday to Wednesday. The two sides will discuss issues such as U.S. unilateral tariff measures and the abuse of export controls and TikTok. That is what a spokesperson from China's Ministry of Commerce had to say. Utah Governor Spencer Cox has said that Charlie Kirk's alleged killer is refusing to cooperate with investigators and has not admitted to carrying out the shooting. The 22-year-old suspect, Tyler Robinson, was arrested roughly 33 hours after that shootout that took place. Do remember there was a bullet that went through the neck that killed Charlie Kirk. This is the 31-year-old right-wing activist, a close ally of Donald Trump, who was fatally shot on Wednesday last week. Now, this is, of course, the authorities are going on to say that there are people who are close to him. In fact, they are the ones who are assisting the authorities with the investigation. But this man, the suspect, refuses to cooperate. President former President Bolsonaro on Sunday briefly left his home in Bigford. He has really been under house arrest to undergo a medical procedure. That's what he was allowed for at a nearby hospital. His first public appearances, he was handed a 27-year-long prison sentence. Now, a panel of Supreme Court justices ruled that Bolsonaro had attempted a coup and tried to illegally hang on to power despite his defeat in 2022 to the current president, Lula da Silva. Now, escorted by the police, Bolsonaro went to the hospital in the capital of Brazil for procedures related to skin lesions, as well as a temporary release granted by the court on the 8th of September. He was discharged in the afternoon, doctors from the hospital said in a statement. A new wave of anti-immigrant protests is gathering force across parts of the Western world after weeks of targeted incidents in the United Kingdom. Concerns are now echoing from Australia as well. Two countries where Indians make up a large share as far as migrant and student communities are concerned. With general elections approaching in both, immigration has become a hot button issue, and India is watching closely. Here is a report.
It began quietly, then intensified. More than 110,000 demonstrators flooded central London in a massive anti-immigration protest, described by analysts as the UK's most significant far-right mobilisation in modern times. The United Kingdom rally, led by far-right figure Tommy Robinson, drew attendees from across the country and quickly escalated into violence, resulting in multiple injuries among police officers.
You, the British public, have now made London the battleground for this fight. We're going to do it again. I'm sorry, some people couldn't hear because there's too many of us. We didn't get to finish it. We didn't get to kill our clothes and speeches. We didn't get to tell you our vision of how we can change this country, but we're going to. We're going to do it again.
In the UK, at least 3 to 4 anti-immigration flashpoints have emerged over the past month in areas like Knowsley, Loughton and parts of Kent. Protesters have rallied outside migrant housing facilities, alleging strain on public resources. But critics say the anger is being fueled by nationalist rhetoric and pre-election politics. With over 1.2 million Indians in the UK, including doctors, engineers and students, the tone of the discourse is raising alarm. Indian professionals form the backbone of sectors like healthcare, tech, yet face growing hostility on the ground.
Islam has already been, at the heart of many of these conversations, but it will not restrict itself to people from Islamic background. I think any outsider will become, any quote unquote outsider who's seen as an outsider in a society will become a target. So Indians, I'm afraid, will also bear a lot of this, a lot of the brunt of these activities.
While the UK grapples with rising tensions over immigration, similar unrest is now unfolding halfway across the world in Australia, where Indian migrants and students are also facing increasing hostility. The trigger: complaints about overcrowding, housing shortages, and the influx of international students, many of them Indian. Indian students who contribute billions to Australia's education economy suddenly found themselves caught in a storm of public resentment. The cost of living crisis has heightened public frustration, often unfairly directed at immigrant communities. With crucial elections on the horizon in both the UK and Australia, political parties are using nationalist messaging to gain support. Meanwhile, misinformation about migrants spreads rapidly, further deepening divisions and fears. But the backlash isn't going unchallenged. Civil rights groups and migrant advocates in both countries are calling out scapegoating, urging governments to differentiate between legal migration and fear-mongering. India is paying close attention because it is the largest source of migrants to both Australia and the UK. Indian students contribute over $6 billion annually to Australia's economy. In the UK, Indian professionals play a vital role in sectors like NHS and technology. Any worsening of anti-migrant sentiment could strain India's important strategic ties with these countries. From London to Melbourne, the political climate is shifting, and migrants are increasingly in the crosshairs. For India, this isn't just a foreign policy issue. It's about safety, dignity, and future of millions of its citizens abroad. As the protests grow, the question is, will politics trump partnerships? NDTV World Bureau Report.
Now, video has gone completely viral from London that sparked debate on social media as it showed an anti-immigration protester buying. This is the onion bhaji. More than 1 lakh people marched through central London on the weekend carrying flags of England and Britain to protest against the immigration in what turned out to be one of UK's largest right-wing demonstration in recent times. Here is the report.
Friday saw massive protests in central London. Placards, slogans, and strong sentiments against immigration. But what caught public attention was a brief moment of irony. A man carrying an anti-immigration sign was filmed stopping mid-protest to buy an onion bhaji, a staple of South Asian cuisine. The irony wasn't lost on social media. The video, posted online, quickly went viral, triggering debate about the selective acceptance of immigrant contributions. The irony is palpable, one user commented. Another added, enjoying the flavors brought by immigrants while protesting their presence. That's rich. From curry houses to tech hubs, immigrant communities, especially from South Asia, have long been vital to the UK's economic and cultural identity. And while political rhetoric may target migrants, the daily life of Britain tells another story. One where immigrant labour, food and culture are deeply ingrained. This isn't just about a snack, it's about the subconscious acceptance of what immigration has brought in everyday British life. As the UK wrestles with the rise in anti-immigration sentiment, the real question may be, can one separate the culture from the people? With Mohammed Ghazali, this is an NDTV report.
And with that, we're slipping into a short break. Back with a whole lot more on the other side. Stay with us. Back now, according to tracking website downdetector.com, Elon Musk's satellite internet service, this is Starlink, This was back online for most users after a brief outage that took place earlier today. The number of US users reporting issues fell below 1,000 as of 1:15 a.m. from that peak of more than 43,000 users. The platform tracks outage by collating status reports from multiple sources. And China's factory output and retail sales reported their weakest growth since last year in August, keeping pressure on Beijing to roll out more stimulus in order to fend off a sharp slowdown in the world's second largest economy. The disappointing data split economists and these are others as far as policymakers that would need more near-term fiscal support to hit their annual growth target of around 5%, with the manufacturers awaiting more clarity on a US trade deal and the domestic demand curve by a wobbly job market and property crisis. Australia's ANZ Group has agreed to pay $159.5 million. The Australian corporator, this is the regulator, as far as the largest ever penalty that is against a single entity over systemic failures ranging from acting, this is unconscionably, in a government bond, that is a deal, to charging dead customers. The penalties announced today are a troubling milestone as far as Australia's fourth largest bank, which last week announced 3,500 job cuts as the new CEO looks to improve profitability at a price. Now, this is that it already is required to hold more capital in reserve than its peers this is due in part to fallout from the bond trade. And time to get you some entertainment news now. The Apple TV workplace thriller Severance got off to a strong start. This was on the 77th Emmy Awards, which took place earlier today with a pair of acting wins. It was adolescent Owen Cooper, who has become the youngest male to ever win an acting award at the Emmys at the age of 15. He, of course, has won that Outstanding Supporting Actor. Well, also it was Jake Gyllenhaal who paid a surprise visit to Owen Cooper just before the Emmys, the day before the Emmys, only to present him with a lucky duck as a token of encouragement. Cooper went on to make history as the youngest Emmy winner. The pitch and the studio were the biggest winners of the night. Sydney Sweeney, as well as Pedro Pascal and Jenna Ortega, were amongst the big names on the red carpet.
Hollywood's biggest night for television glittered at the Peacock Theatre in Los Angeles, as the 77th Primetime Emmy Awards celebrated the best on the small screen. Comedian Nate Bargatze made his Emmy hosting debut, keeping things light as the trophies rolled out. Seth Rogen's comedy The Studio swept the night with 13 wins, a new record for a comedy series. Meanwhile, HBO Max drama The Pitt scored the night's top prize, Best Drama, edging out the heavyweight contender Severance. At just 15, British actor Owen Cooper made Emmy history, the youngest male winner ever for his chilling turn in Netflix's limited series Adolescence, which also took home Best Limited Series.
It means so much to me. It means so much to me, my family, the people back home. It's just, I genuinely don't know what to say really, but yeah, it just means the world to me, so yeah.
And beyond the glitz, a political flashpoint. Several stars wore artists for ceasefire red pins, calling for an end to Israel's military campaign in Gaza. Among them, Megan Stalter and Javier Bardem, lending star power to the movement. A night of record breakers, bold statements, and fresh wave of winners. The Emmys proving once again, television is still the stage for the biggest stories. Bureau Report, NDTV.